Oh yeah!
Funk of Titans is a rather bizarre game. The name itself stands out as something of a parody or homage to Clash of the Titans, with the game's theming and visual style being appropriately similar. Genre-wise, Funk of Titans is an auto-running platformer very much similar to Bit Trip Runner 2, both graphically and in terms of the core gameplay. What was immediately obvious to me, however, was the difference in difficulty. As something of a full disclosure, I don't play too many auto-runners. I'm a longtime fan of classic platformers, primarily the Donkey Kong Country series, but Bit Trip Runner 2 is likely the only other auto-runner I've ever spent time with. Now, not to contrast the games too heavily, I found Funk of Titans to be a far easier and more relaxing experience. This should be something of a forewarning to either camp, as gamers looking for a difficult and meticulous runner might be a bit disappointed or put off by Funk's general lack of difficulty, whereas others might see this as a cheap opportunity to delve into the genre without fear of frustration and ultimately leaving another game on the shelf unfinished. This said, Funk of Titans took me just under 6 hours to completely finish. There are 45 stages, with 39 of them being traditional runner levels. The other 6 are allocated to an out-of-place rhythm minigame. I understand the theme A Crowd of Monsters was going for in the design of Funk of Titans, but these quick-time event minigames are a distraction for what is otherwise a concise and decently crafted experience. The core gameplay isn't earth-shattering or genre-defining, but it's good. It's simplistic and straight to the point, which I like. My primary complaint with Bit Trip Runner 2 was the addition of far too many mechanics as the game progressed, while Funk of Titans is limited to 2 buttons and a few different obstacles. This isn't lazy when the game works so well. It could be why the game is so easy, but it doesn't matter if you're actually having fun. Unfortunately, even the standard levels are occasionally interrupted with unneeded features. As you progress through the game, you are collecting golden vinyls, which can be used to purchase visual accessories like different swords and hats. However, a small handful of these swords are required to open locked doors or paths on certain levels, meaning in order to get all 3 gold medals on a level, you'll not only need to have unlocked a certain item, you'll need to have it equipped as well. On your first run through the levels, this isn't a huge issue, as you probably need to retry it anyway in order to get all the vinyls and perform the level flawlessly without getting damaged. But it's a bit insulting to be playing a level without error, only to be informed that you need to replay it with a different cosmetic accessory equipped. Whether this was done intentionally for the sake of filler content is unknown, but it simply doesn't belong. Consider the fact that this also lessens the value of all other non-essential items. I'd prefer to play the game wielding a chainsaw or shotgun, but there is no reason to do so when some levels require one of a select few special weapons. It's just a bad design decision that didn't need to be tacked on. Alternatively, you could keep this mechanic, but apply it to all levels. Then, after discovering these locked doors, set a symbol on the world map to remind the player which item is needed, as opposed to replaying the entire level again just to start over when they realized they needed a lightsaber and not a stop sign. Of course, what combats this being a bigger issue is the length of stages only lasting a few minutes tops. The flow of gameplay is quick and easy, so knocking out levels in quick succession is still rewarding, even if you know you'll have to replay levels to unlock everything. While it's a controversial term for some, Funk of Titans has solid game feel. I can't back it up with scientific examples or research, but I did have fun playing Funk of Titans, even though I largely dislike the visual style. Funk of Titans is primarily a good game, in a very literal sense of the phrase. The jumping and attacking you perform feels good. This is a very rare case of substance over style. Funk of Titans does not need to be on the Xbox One, and I honestly question if this game was originally intended for tablets or smartphones based on the graphical fidelity and menu systems. The world maps are fine, and tie into the stages, but neither the stages or worlds have any connection to the musical theme the game is trying to put off. Other runners create music through the platforming, while Funk of Titans is a runner themed around music, but with very bland music throughout. It's ironic to say the least, but frustrating to see the worlds could have been themed after pop, rap, and rock, rather than just named after them. A Crowd of Monsters has created this very concise runner, but created an awkward world around it. The black portrayals of Zeus and Perseus are comical and well crafted, while other characters, especially Hercules, are ugly and bland. I hate to rant, but it's really a mixed bag. The stage variety is great, even if assets are reused all the time. The problem is nothing has anything to do with music. The world bosses are parodies of musicians like Lady Gaga and Pitbull, but that's about as far as it goes. This is mostly obvious when looking at the Roman enemies, who appear identical throughout the game's 3 worlds. It's just a series of missed opportunities. Really, Funk of Titans is a good game that I have a lot of minor gripes with. Consider the game's bonus levels, in which you ride on a fake Pegasus with a rocket attached. The goal is to travel as far as possible and collect gold vinyls on the way. It's fun, but eventually becomes tiring, and I find myself crashing on purpose, as replaying earlier levels is a much more efficient way to earn the in-game currency. Not to mention, these bonus levels lack any sort of online leaderboard or high score tracker. If you were to cut the fat from Funk of Titans and remove the bosses, some of the characters, and the locked doors, you'd end up with a much better game. The time spent crafting these other assets could have been used to create more levels, even if it was just a few. All in all, I do recommend Funk of Titans, at least to anyone wanting a quick, fun, and easy game to play. Anyone looking for a proper platforming challenge will be disappointed, as the game's difficulty seems to be targeted to a more casual demographic. Funk of Titans is available now on the Xbox One Marketplace for $8.99 or your regional equivalent.